Good morning, everyone. It is me, Jules, here with Scott.
Hello.
And we're going to be doing something a little bit different today because we've both been playing quite tactical, squad-based shooters recently. But the problem is they're very different games and on very different consoles. I'm talking about XCOM 2 War of the Chosen.
And I have been living on Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Now the thing is that we usually do reviews. You know, we've kind of mixed up our review style. We have like just a casual little chat about it. But what we thought what we do today is that we're going to take both games, go through them together because they are ostensibly the same type of game.
Same genre.
And then sort of discuss the nuances between them and maybe give you a recommendation of which one might be best suited for you.
Because there's a little...
positive vibes. Happy. I love it!
It's very random that they came out on the same day.
It was a bit,
like,
yeah.
Fire Axis were like, oh, the nice little, kidified version of what we've been doing for years.
Let's put the record straight. Ubisoft were like, oh, give me a slice of that XCOM alien
Maybe,
pie.
man. I don't know. I mean, XCOM's got its fans, but I think you had Rabbids and Mario.
XCOM deserves its fan. I don't like Rabbids.
So
let's talk about
let's
your
outline
game
the,
first.
yeah.
So it's on the Switch, isn't it?
It is on the Switch.
And it's, from what I've seen, it's Mario.
Yep.
And some Rabbids.
Yes.
In what you call a kingdom battle.
You might.
It's almost like that's the title.
It's a little bit, yeah. So basically, it's there's a story, there's a whole thing where this kid has created a VR headset that can blur worlds together, and then he or she accidentally like summons in the Rabbids, and then they all go crazy. I've got to say, I like the Rabbids. They're all right. They're fine.
I will just say.
Go on.
That I think that if I created a VR headset that could merge worlds and I got stuck with the Rabbids as part of the deal, I would consider that piece of tech null and void.
Well,
that would be the most annoying thing in the world.
Some people like their antics. What about the minions? Are the minions?
Yeah, I hate the minions.
Rabbids are the original minions.
I hate the minions.
Not to worry.
I hate any sort of thing that can't fucking open its mush mouth properly and speak. And it's small and colourful.
Hey,
and it's like weirdly like homogenous looking. It's kind of like, oh look, what are you? You're all the same.
It's just cute. They just do little stupid things. Anyway, so
got one of those. It's Peter Austin.
So this person brings in all the Rabbids and warps the worlds together. The Rabbids take the VR tech, and one of the Rabbids gets the VR headset fused to its face, and then starts zapping everything, which merges everything together. And one of the zaps hits a Mario poster because the person is a huge Nintendo fan.
Oh, cool!
Which is a cool thing, which warps them all into the Mushroom Kingdom.
Right.
But means that everyone just lands in the Mushroom Kingdom, but because of these like weird rays that are blending everything together, you've then got all these hybrids of like all this Nintendo like ephemera mixing with all this Ubisoft stuff.
Oh, that explains why you've got like the Rabbid dressed as Princess Peach. And
yes.
Like that.
So your team then becomes Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, and Peach, regular style, and the Rabbid versions of all of them. And Rabbid Peach is brilliant. That's the thing.
I've heard rumblings that she or it is a very like comedic character.
She's great. When she meets like the real Peach, she's just like picking up her dress, being like, who are you?
Really, like,
it's just great.
So is it that they basically absorb their identities? So it's like they're not just playing dress up as them. They're
definitely playing dress up because if you get game over, Rabbid Peach throws her wig off and she's like, oh god, I'm done. And, so I guess maybe it's a dude, but like whatever.
Fair enough.
But they have a lot of fun with it, and so that's the basic setup for it, and that allows them to just bring in like Bowser Jr.'s in there, just bring in like a lot of like lovable Nintendo characters, and mash them all together.
I mean, that sounds like a very, very quaint little story.
It's lush.
Almost like it's very simple. I mean, War of the Chosen, however, has a much deeper narrative because it fits seamlessly within the XCOM 2 narrative that's been created that Earth is already lost and that the alien overlords have taken over and it's up to you to fight back slowly but surely, chipping away at their overarching grand scheme. War of the Chosen adds in these amazing 3 new human factions, which are basically all fighting amongst themselves, and you've got to unite them to help gain their strength for your army.
Cool.
And you've also got 3 of the Chosen. Now, these are like a different race of aliens that we've never seen before. And basically, the elders have come down and said, we keep losing. You are the Chosen. You need to sort this out. And at first you think, like, okay, fine, it's just going to be 3 of them just like fighting against that. And then they just turn around and say, well, the reason we're going to get you 3 to do this is whoever gets to kill the commander and take over the world gets the world. The other 2 of you die. So they create a competition within their own thing, and it creates this lovely narrative of like you're trying to desperately gather resources on one side while fighting off these 3 chosen people, but they themselves are fighting within each other. So it's like chaos all the time. Lovely.
I'm a huge XCOM fan, and I must have played about a good couple of hundred hours of XCOM 2. So how do they balance, like, in terms of delivering that narrative versus the kind of meta narrative that people always make versus their own, like, because everyone creates characters in XCOM,
yes,
and it's not a very story heavy game other than the overarching pushback against the aliens thing. So how does that stuff factor in? You get cutscenes?
Well, yeah, they get quite a lot of cutscenes and new characters like Volk, who's the leader of one of the resistance groups. There's like you basically derive your narrative experience through these new characters that come in, rather than them turning around and saying, like, Commander, you are the reason we're doing this. It's just kind of like, it just gives you more options to do what you do best, which is tactically plan and win small wars. Now, I found that it just worked seamlessly with the vanilla expansion of the game, because it's like, I didn't feel like they were forcing me to do stuff. Once the sort of introductory mission that just said these are the people that you'll be playing with, all it did was just give me more choice. And that's the best thing about XCOM, is that it just gives you, it never ever sort of funnels you down. It just goes like, taught you the basics, now off you pop.
Off you go, pop.
Yeah. So, in terms of narrative, there's a lot of cutscenes, there's a lot more exposition-y style stuff, but it works really well within that, because you almost forge your own story with these new characters. For example, when the Chosen actually appear in battle, they've got strengths and weaknesses. It's actually quite similar to the Nemesis system in Shadow of Mordor.
Oh, God.
And their abilities change as the matches go on. So, for example, one of the early assassins, she's weak to explosive blasts. Next time you fight her, she's got different type of armor on that basically reduces that and gives her a different buff, but it exposes her other weaknesses. So you almost are developing a story with that enemy.
Okay. So what? So you can't actually defeat them. They pop in and out of different battles.
They pop in and out. They're kind of like sort of mega bosses almost. You can defeat them, but they're not kind of like one-shot killers like the alien rulers were in the. There was another DLC, and that's going to escape the name.
Oh God, yeah.
But the one before that, there was a ruler class that could obliterate your squad. But they're not like that. They're kind of like a go-between.
Because that is really interesting. Because as someone who likes the tactile side of XCOM, the idea that they've actually put that much thought into a story is maybe one of the a missing ingredient that we didn't even know we wanted. Which is really cool.
Excuse me.
Good, it's killing you.
It is killing me. But we were discussing briefly before we started recording that Fireaxis came out and said that this was effectively going to be XCOM 3.
Oh, there was enough content.
There was enough content to qualify as being XCOM 3, and then they just thought, no, let's just put it in as the XCOM 2 DLC. And I'm really glad they did, because tying it together like this makes it feel so much. Not that XCOM needed to feel bigger by any stretch of the imagination. It now feels monolithic, but also really accessible. So yeah, let's move on to the gameplay, speaking of accessibility.
Because that factors into one of the things that really... Because, it's Mario and Rabbids, and you go, that's just going to be the most watered-down version of this genre in the world.
I was put off by what I thought of it.
And that's fair, and the game does start very slow, because you have to imagine that there's going to be a lot of people coming into this, and it's going to be their first turn-based strategy game. So the majority of the first world that you're in Rabbids, like, does just drip feed you the basics of how these games work. But... inside that, they've actually got some really cool little innovations. Like you in basic XCOM, you have like your two-step move. Like you either move one and fire, or you move two and you can't fire. Now, your movement step can incorporate a whole bunch of different things. Like if you move the cursor like over an enemy, you can like factor in like a slide dash. Like slide and do damage, and then you can put the cursor on one of your teammates and bounce off them to get further. All of that counts as your movement. So you kind of want to like chain together as many things as possible. Someone like Mario unlocks like his jump ability. So like you might like run, slide a guy, bounce back off your teammate, go further, jump on another guy, land, and then fire to finish them off.
That's pretty cool.
It's great.
I like that.
And and like obviously another staple is like Overwatch. Like you have the ability to like wait and kill dudes. Only Mario and Luigi have that at the start anyway. And so, like, you then obviously want to think about where you're going to place them. And, like, Rabbid Peach is the only one who has the defensive buff, so, like, she can afford to be more of a tank.
Okay, so you do get sort of, like, character specifications.
Yeah, and so that immediately factors into where they go on the battlefield. And there's, like, another thing, like, how many times have we been boned over by XCOM's percentages and hit rates?
Unbelievably so. I've been sort of in situations where it's been, like, 91% to hit, and then just be like, click, click, click. It's like, good job.
And I know this is a stupid thing, but it's just the way my mind works. Like, it's either going to hit or it's not, right? Like, regardless of the percentage that it's on. So, like, you
will just take the shot anyway.
I'll just take the shot, and it's like, because I don't understand percentages.
See, this is the thing,
like,
on my side, I've just got, like, a spreadsheet and like bar graph and like Rain Man situation of like, wait, is this going to
Maybe it will.
Maybe it will.
Like, because I used to do that.
Wind.
But then, I'm like, it's either gonna, in the practicality of it, in the reality of it, it's either the shot's gonna work or it's not. It doesn't really matter after the shot as to what percentage it was. I don't know. But my point I'm getting to is that Mario doesn't care about that. Mario is for the simpleton in me and you. Because all they have is 0%, 50 if someone's behind cover, or 100 if you have the drop on them, or if you're above them to the side.
I think that's very fair. And I think that, again, that helps introduce people to these sort of tactical thing. It's just like, okay, you might miss this thing, but we're going to give you a clear indication of it either is, isn't, or is in the middle. All
those things roll together. Like, you've got all the different tactile stuff with each person having literally a specific different advantage or disadvantage. You've got your like Luigi's the sniper, randomly. Oh, God.
Coward?
I guess. Yeah. Well, he's not really.
I'm not saying that snipers are cowards. I'm just saying that it's a thing that you removed from the situation.
True. The way that they've done Luigi, his ability, his Overwatch, is the thing from Mario Kart 8. It's called Steely Stare, which is an in-joke for like the
one where we start the death stare thing. Amazing.
And another one of the things that's a really big up on this thing, Adam Cleary ups and downs, is the graphics, the general presentation of this is gorgeous.
Good.
Like, absolutely stunning. Like, really, really, like, considering that it's on the Switch and oh my God, it's a handheld and whatever you want to, whatever sort of regressive stuff can go towards the Switch. My point is, I forgot I was on the Switch.
Good.
Like, this looked like a PS4 Xbox One game. Like, genuinely, very, very good looking game. The weapons also have status ailments, like you have like honey or ink or bounce damage.
So I'm imagining that's slowing people down, making people's accuracy lower.
No, the ink one stops their abilities, but bounce moves them across the battlefield, or maybe kicks them out of bounds, which like are good against mid bosses.
Cool.
Stuff like that. Another thing with that is that if you have a guy on like Overwatch or whatever, like they're waiting for the shot, that can still happen during your turn. So like, say you have like Mario and Luigi and they're waiting on their Overwatch and they're waiting for like the enemy team to move. If someone then runs in and does bounce damage, they'll move the opponent. Both your two guys then trigger. You can do lovely little combos like that.
You can chain it like almost like a pinball straight into them.
And so it kind of changes, because obviously in XCOM you can plan all day long as to how you think it's going to go, but XCOM's meat is figuring out in the moment, oh God, everything's going to hell, how am I going to survive? Going from that mentality, I think Mario shakes that up, because it lets you know from the get-go, you have like X number of movement chains you can do, whether it's bouncing off enemies and other players, and then all these weapon chains that you can do, and it's like, right, what's your go going to be worth? Because the enemy can do all that stuff too. And so it's like, how much can you do with these three characters? And then that changes the way you approach battle. Like, I really think there's a lot of depth. It's obviously from the aesthetic, it's not up front, it doesn't look like a tactical game, but it gets there.
Okay,
definitely gets there.
That's very interesting. It's interesting that you bring up changes to the mode of battle as well, because XCOM 2 War of the Chosen does that in spades. Basically, by adding in these three new player classes, or the three new factions that you get members from, it allows, they've got completely different sort of moving styles. So for example, the sniper from this one group is able to run and use the sniper rifle. Now you couldn't do that before. And
you could unlock it.
You could unlock it, but they have it from the out pretty much. The other guy gets to move and shoot, but you can decide which order he does it in, which is another, like, it's a small change.
Same as Mario.
But it does it's a big thing, because it's like being able to be right in front of an enemy, shoot, and then peg it away is something that I sorely missed. And then there's other things with more sort of side control and things like that. But there are actually like new mission types that take quite a lot of focus, where you're actually put up against a new zombie horde called the Lost. And what it is almost as like irradiated humans that you can kill them, but there's just more and more coming, and no one knows why, because we should have run out of the population by now. Now, you do missions in there, and the mission structures that take up those levels are completely different from the usual sort of like think, move, ambush. Now it's like, if you make any noise, if you kill them, it alerts more.
Oh, God,
And more. And it's probably the most enemies that I've ever seen in an XCOM game on one screen. I think I had maybe 20 or 30 of them hunting me down.
Christ.
Now,
game.
How you deal with them, though, is that every single shot that you use that kills them is a free action.
Oh, that's good.
So as long as you've got ammo in your gun, and you can keep chaining them together, so you end up creating these fire lines of like your squads, where basically you're mowing down these zombies, but you're also falling back. It's like, that change, even though it's a lot easier than, say, going up against an Advent force, is so refreshing, because it breaks up that sort of like, I wouldn't say monotony, because every battle I do feel is different, but it breaks up the whole thing of like, okay, set up an ambush point, do this.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that kind of comes and goes in this genre, is like it's not necessarily empowerment, but it's like the reward of a good plan, like the 18 thing, about I love when a plan comes together.
When it comes together, there is nothing more satisfying. If you can take, do you remember the giant mechs at the end of when they start coming in? When you take down one of those and don't lose a single player, you're just kind of like, yes,
like, I'm the best commander ever.
God, style of tactics. If we're jumping on presentation wagon as well, it looks fantastic. I will say that I'm not a huge fan of the XCOM 2 art style compared to the original remake that they did. I prefer the sort of less angular design to all of the things. However, I do think that this just fits really well into it. The Chosen are horrifically ugly, but they fit quite well into it. They've got like weird kind of like
you want to blow them up, though.
like piranha mouths.
Cool.
And they've got like weird like bulbousy heads and stuff. It's basically like me, like 3 versions of me just going like
you in like Rick and Morty world.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, because that's one of the things. Like the XCOM series, like. It has a hell of a lot of legion of fans, but I always feel like it should be bigger. Like it just feels like it should be the tactics franchise.
It's almost like the biggest niche game you can get, which is really weird because like everyone I speak to who's played it says it's the best thing that they've played in a long time, and actively looks for other games that emulate it. But when you speak to other sort of like strategy game fans, like people who love like Dawn of War and stuff like that, they'll most of them have never given it a try. And kind of like, is it because of the slower pace? Is it because it's turn-based?
I think it's turn-based. I think for some reason...
I love it. It's like chess to me.
It is like chess, which has probably just made people run for the hills, but it is like chess.
We're talking to nerds. They love chess.
I think we can reach a harmony here.
I want to go away and play Rabbids.
Yes, and I'm going to play War of the Chosen anyway.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It's very strange because, like I said, I don't like the Rabbids, but I like the idea of having a sort of more kinetic fighting experience. And you said about mid-bosses and things like that, so there's, I assume there's almost like...
Yeah, so you have like, you're all in the Mushroom Kingdom. You've got Princess Peach's Castle is like the main hub, and then the Rabbids are always building different like things that unlock across the game, like different... There's a multiplayer mode in there that you can team up and take stuff on.
Nice.
There's like ways to revisit chapters, but yeah, you've got the castle in the middle, you've got different worlds around the outside, and then there are chapters within there, but each chapter is 3 different fights. And so like it's all segmented, so if you want to go back and get more gold medals to unlock better weapons and stuff, you can drop back in and drop out, like change your team up, try it again. And there's a nice replayability to it, which obviously factors into the whole handheld nature of the Switch. The harmony I'm getting at though is I think this is a perfect entry point, and then you move on to something like XCOM.
It's kind of like you've got 2 ends of the scale, haven't you? You've got the sort of, this is the sort of like I was going to say like babies first, but that's not what I meant. I meant like an introductory thing that has a lot of depth that you learn, and then you've got XCOM 2 with War of the Chosen installed, which is basically there is so much depth to that game. Like, there was unbelievable depth before, but I'm just going to quickly run over some of the few other features that might sell it to you even further and you at home. So what they've done is they've tried to make your squad feel much more personable. Like you already care about them before if you played the original game, but you will love them and really mourn them when they die, because they've got this new bonding system where, like, if you go into battle with the same people over and over again, they develop a good bond. And they get bonus tactics and bonus abilities if they stay within certain ranges of each other, because they're mates and they've got each other's backs.
Oh, that's cool.
There's also this new fatigue system, so if you keep bringing the same soldier into the battle, fatigue goes down, and therefore you can't keep relying on them, so you've got to switch your team up a bit more.
That's game changing.
Yeah, and it's because I kept on bringing the same people in and
everyone
having
does.
Captains by sort of like 10 hours in.
Well, I had a guy that could chain, as long as you got a headshot, you could just keep going. So I had like one sniper that was just like my sniper.
But now it's got to be that you've got to build up almost a reserve, and you've got to make sure that they're... Yeah, and there's tons more abilities, like loads new weapons, loads new progression things. There's new way of leveling up characters as well. Because before it was just like the left and the right option. Now for certain characters you can do, they get a lucky dip pack almost from all of the skill pot. You could have a character that has some psi powers, some tech powers, and also this. It can create really imbalanced stuff, but it's in there to give you this immense sense of variety.
It's good to see the genre represented.
Yeah, I would love to see more sort of from this genre. So please, developers, Fire Access, please make more of these.
Yes.
So if we were going to give this a score, I know what I'm going to give mine. I'm giving mine a 5-star rating.
It sounds like it.
Just because of the fact that I feel like this is how you do DLC right. There's a massive amount of additional content, a huge amount of care and love put into the narrative, and even things like just you can do propaganda posters now, little things that make you feel like you're in charge of your own
Can you draw a
war.
penis?
You can't draw the penises, but you can make them all pose in different ways and have you can write different text on. So I've made the Gamer Lads, and you've got the entry burn hairstyle, by the way.
I did. Okay.
The Guile one.
I mean, look, you can make me as a me, not anymore because the Miiverse is shut down, but I look a lot like a me.
So I basically got the guys there, and instantly after the first mission, Ben and Peter bonded. Of course they did. And so I've put them back to back.
Are we arch enemies?
In Billy We Trust, and it's just kind of like that.
God.
But yeah, so I'm giving that 5 stars. Like there's nothing I can say other than just please add it to your collection if you've already got XCOM 2. What are you going to give?
Scoring Mario and Rabbids is hard because there are tiny things that stop it being perfect perfect, but only things that you would pick up on if you've played the genre a lot. Things like sightlines, things that I think XCOM nails, like it factors back into that percentage thing.
Right.
Because Mario operates on the 0, 50, 100 thing, there are some times when you can see someone and it should be 100,
but you can't.
But because they're behind half cover, it'll still give you 50. And there are some things with just like sort of it's kind of really only that. It's really the technical thing.
Is that enough to bring it down from?
It brings it down from a 5-star because I think that it stops it. 4.5. It's a 4.5 star. I mean, it's
4 and a nub.
It's a meticulously made game, and considering that like it's an all Ubisoft developed game, there's some things that's, like I said, let it down on the technical side with that kind of stuff. And in between fights, all you're doing is running around like a big landscape.
Right.
You do collect coins, you push boxes, you do some very basic arbitrary stuff. A little bit Zelda-ish. You push some boxes and a gateway opens and you run over. It makes a noise when the gate opens.
Right.
Things like that. It's enough to pass the time, but the meat of this is in the fights.
Yeah.
Which like once you get through the first world and you have enough characters and enough abilities and weapons, and then you can start jumping in to like replay those fights, get more coins, get more stuff, and keep going. That's the loop, but it takes a good couple of hours, a good sort of 4 hours before that stuff clicks in.
Okay.
It does.
So you need to brace yourself
soften it off
yeah,
from being like a straight-on 5-star thing. Plus, then you have the initial bugbears of like, well, I thought I should have that shot, and that kind of thing. So I do think it stops it being 5 stars, but it's still an incredibly well-made game, and in my mind, probably the best thing Ubisoft's put their name to in a long time. Like, I'm not slating Ubisoft, but they haven't, like, they're not in people's good books right now. And this is a meticulously made game, and it just looks gorgeous. Like, up there with Zelda is the best looking thing on the Switch.
Well, there we go, guys.
Boom, bada, boom.
So we cannot recommend these two titles enough. It was meant to be a versus thing going head to head, but it seems like we've reached a very acrimonious harmony on that. We're just appreciative of this genre.
Yes.
So let us know what you think if you bought either one of these two, like what experiences you've had, and if you had to pick one, which one would you go for? Let's just add
it's
back in there.
It's Mario, isn't it? But
it's clearly XCOM, isn't it? So let us know what you think in the comments below, and as always, I've been Jules.
I've been Scott.
And we will see you soon.
Bye.